is rideshare a charity? Should drivers drive for free? So I think this topic is really revolving Uber and Lyft, their mileage and time estimates. Obviously, they send you an upfront fare, and then there's a mileage and a time, and they're sort of telling you. So what is kind of set in stone is how much you're going to be getting paid, where you have to pick up, where you have to drop off. So those three things are set in stone. You know that information, whether it's a scheduled trip or in a ride in your market. Not every market has that, but I think like 95% of markets now have that. But the actual estimate, right? They might say it's 25 minutes and 14 miles. You might go out and do the trip, 30 minutes, 17 miles, and you're like, what the hell, right? So what happened when you were driving? Why do we want to cover this topic?
We want to cover this topic because what's happening now, since upfront fares, okay? Now, both companies came up with the explanation of upfront fares, which is very clear, and I love upfront fares. If anybody doesn't like
Mm-hmm.
upfront fares, you guys got to go flip burgers. So here's the deal. Upfront fares comes with something that we wanted for 10 years. Obviously, we know the destination of the passenger now. You see it up front. Okay, good. But also comes with this take it or leave it price. And
Yeah.
when they did introduce it, Uber's language was if a trip lasts a lot longer, this is exactly their language. You can go check it, Harry.
Yep.
And on Lyft, it was significantly longer. Now, until today, even I asked this to Risher, like on my interview, he didn't say anything about it either. So, what is the explanation of a lot longer and significantly longer? Because to me, I personally, before upfront fares, did not drive 1/10 of a mile and 1 minute
Yeah.
on the house. I didn't because we had a rate
Well, but they
card,
used to
just
pay
like a
per
cab
mile
meter.
and per minute, right? They used to pay per mile and per minute, right?
Yeah,
So,
rate card. Right.
well, and I
So
mean, I think we
now,
did a good.
now I'm driving a lot of minutes and a lot of
Mhm.
miles for free. This is not even on a passenger that changes destination. I'm just talking upfront comes in. I look at the contract. I look at it as a contract. 10
Mhm.
minutes, 10 minutes, $5. Okay, it's good. I'll take it. Now, when that trip goes 12 and I still get five, that's
Yeah.
driving as a charity. I'm not
Well, I
doing it. I'm
guess
not going to do it. What should I do? Kick the passenger out at the 10-minute mark?
yeah, I know there's a lot of edge cases, so you do a good job covering those on Show Me the Money Club. We're kind of focusing right now on the 10 miles or what'd you say, 10 minutes and $5, right? Like you still
Yeah.
get $5 every time. We're in agreement there,
Yeah.
but they might say it's going to be 10 miles or 10 minutes, and then it might be 12 miles or it might be 12 minutes, right? And that's the part that you're pissed about and you don't like.
No, I don't want, I want, okay,
I
look,
guess what I would say is
I want to get
I mean,
compensated for the work that I'm doing.
what's most important though? The most important thing is understanding how much you're going to get paid, right? Like, I feel like drivers, we kind of argued about this on the first episode with the take rate, right? Like, drivers get so caught up in, what the companies are taking. Like, I think it's much more transparent this way. Like, the companies literally say, hey, here's a ride. We're going to pay you $25 for this ride. Here's the where you pick them up, here's the destination. Like, all the information. They're kind of, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say they're being nice, but they are now giving you an estimate of the mileage and the time that that trip is going to take. And yeah, shocker, they tend to underestimate it a little bit. I think you just went out and did some rides, but like, what's
I
the
did not.
important part? The thing I really want to know is how much I'm going to get paid, right? Where I'm picking them up, and then where I'm going. I mean, we've done a lot of videos in the past. It was like, hey, when it's really busy, you don't want to be taking a 7 minute ETA pickup, right? You want to go for like a 2 minute, a 3 minute, a 4 minute.
Sure.
Like, you might get one that's seven, ignore that one, wait for the 30 seconds for the next one that's closer. Now you're minimizing that period two time, right? Which increases your kind of period three, utilization, right? And increases your earnings, right? So I guess to me, like, that's the most important thing. Like, okay, I guess I agree with you. It's a little
I look,
shady.
I am not look. I have seen 1,000 screenshots about this. Trips going over by 15, 20 minutes at a time. In
Yeah.
fact, I got one today. The driver did not get adjusted as far as the extra 15 minutes. I mean, that's 15 minutes I will never get back, and I didn't get compensated. On the other hand, though, they've set the algos in a way that if a trip goes a little bit shorter, maybe a few minutes shorter or a mile shorter, boom, you get a 30% haircut, 20% haircut. Look, if you
Yeah.
can do that, do the other way as well. And I'm not expecting to get paid the same amount they're cutting, by the way. All I'm saying is when I do trips and your estimate sucks, you should pay me for the extra work that I'm doing. I'm not gonna work for free. I'm not, this is not charity, this is not public service. I'm not doing it.
Well, I mean, I
And
guess if
and at
I'm the
some point,
company's,
Harry, at some point, like if a trip is in LA, especially with traffic, we know shit happens. And
Yeah.
trip 3 miles could be like half hour. And I'm like, if you send me a 20-minute estimate for 3 miles for $10, and I took it because my hourly was at 30, but now I'm at 30 minutes and the passenger's still moaning and huffing and puffing in the back seat because there's traffic, you need to pay me for that. If not, I will kick the passenger out at the 20-minute mark. This is what you paid for, sir. Out. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, I'm sure they would love that.
Oh,
So, I mean, I guess what I would say is that, like, okay, if I'm the companies, all right, fine, I won't give you an estimate. I'm just going to tell you how much money you make and where you're picking them up and where you're dropping them off. Are you happy now?
no, that doesn't
Figure
come
it
with
out on your
upfront
own.
fares. That doesn't come with
Because all you
upfront
do is
fares.
complain to
Upfront
me
fares is
about how my
destination,
estimates are
time, and
off.
distance.
No, but I'm saying if you're a driver, like all you're doing is complaining to me about the estimates. Like if you're a savvy driver, okay, yeah, like Lyft shaves like 5-10% off of these estimates, right? Like if you pick up a trip in rush hour, right? Like I don't I think it's pretty rare that it's like grossly out of whack, right? That like, hey, the trip is, they say it's going to be 20 minutes and it's 60. Well, you just told me that you went out and drove. What were the differences? Didn't you calculate, from, you did what, 10 or 20
Well, that
rides? What'd you calculate?
we're saving that for tomorrow, but then this will run after the show, so I can
All
talk
right.
about it. Is I did 14 trips.
Okay.
I drove 22 minutes extra on 14 trips. The worst one being 9 minutes against me. The trip came in at 41-minute estimate. It lasted 50. Okay.
Okay.
And I
I
got
mean, that's
paid a whole
20%.
$14 for that. No adjustment. Okay. And the worst mileage differential was 2.5 extra miles. In fact, I I I went to the black hole that is Lyft support
Hmm.
and hit my head against the wall for 2 hours. To get my adjustment. They go, nope, there's no adjustment. We paid you fairly. So overall, I drove an extra 22 minutes, an extra 5.5 miles on the house. Not gonna
There
do
were
it.
some
I want to
trips
do
though
it.
where they overestimated, right? Out
Yes,
of the
there
14.
were trips. There were the worst. Okay, the worst
But
one that
just
went
like
over was nine
how many
minutes, and the
under
one
and
that
how
went
many
under
over?
was 4 minutes.
Okay. Right. So I mean some of the trips they overestimated, more of the trips though they underestimated, said, right? It was like,
Yes,
in that
overall,
5 to 10%.
I lost 22 minutes of my life without getting paid
So maybe like
on
5 to
five and a
10%
half miles.
total minutes, total miles, right? So it's not, I don't know. I wouldn't say that this is like five. I think it's a little shady, to be honest. I agree with you. Like, hey,
Okay.
over 100 or 1,000 rides, it should be pretty much on the dot, right? And if not, I think it's almost better to overestimate a little, right? It's a little
Yeah.
messed up to be
Yeah.
underestimating consistently, but also it's
But
only
if
five
you
to ten
let, but
percent.
if
It's
you
not.
pay Harry, if you take this to a full-time driver doing 150 trips a week, okay? I did 14. So multiply that times 10, 22 minutes, let's say on average, times 10 is 220 minutes. That's 4 hours of my
Yeah, but I
life.
mean, okay, so let's say they weren't, but these are estimates, right? So let's say they weren't giving you any of these estimates, right? And you just had the upfront fare and you had the pickup and the destination. All the trips you're being sent are the exact same, right? So if anything, I'm kind of learning, hey, if I'm Uber or Lyft, maybe I shouldn't be sending these estimates, right? Because they're kind of complaining, right? That like, hey, these estimates are off, or, like I don't know that it adds. I mean, I guess it adds some value to drivers, but then they kind of go and
Well, it does
underestimate
add
it,
a
right?
lot
I
of
think to
value because
me,
it does a lot of value because I don't in LA, like in other places, a lot of people drive for like buck a mile. I'm like, I'm not sure
yeah,
where this buck a mile came from. I'm trying to do $3 a mile. What's buck a
yeah.
mile?
I guess so.
Useless.
Look,
But anyway, but what I'm trying to look at in LA now, I try to look at, okay, if a trip comes in, estimates 20 minutes, paying me $10, extrapolate active hour, $30 an active hour, take it. I got it. That's the way I'm going in, right?
mhm.
But then if the trip goes another 5 minutes, now I just cut that 30 to 25. And now I'm screwed. I'm now
Well,
I'm in a catch-up mode all
but
day
now
long.
you
I'm
know,
just
right?
saying,
Now like every single
just
person
pay me.
watching, every
I have a
single
great
person watching
idea. I
this.
have Uber Lyft. I have a
Let me
great
talk.
idea for you. I have a great idea
Oh,
for
you
Uber
can't get
and
on.
okay, here we go. Okay, you know what? How about we do this? Just like I did yesterday on Sunday, just like they're doing the new Hocus Pocus 70-30
Yeah,
split with Lyft or guarantee, whatever that is. How about this? They figure out, just like I did, all the overs, all the unders, mileage, and time, and give
yeah,
me a top off at the end of the week. Give me money at the end of the week. If I'm under, you know, uh, take
yeah. I
some
think that
money
might
away.
be
If I'm
I
over,
like
give me
that
money.
idea.
How about that?
Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, because it kind of holds the companies accountable, right? If they're giving these, I guess to me, it's like, hey, if they're going to give these estimates, they should be right, right?
I
So,
hope so.
in that sense, I agree with you. I guess to me though, like, okay, yeah, okay, so we agree that parts of this are not great, but if I'm a savvy driver, like now, literally every single person that just watched this segment, they should now know, hey, these guys underestimate by 5 to 10%, overestimate, underestimate, whatever, by 5 to 10%. So when you do that calculation in your head, put a 5 to 10% buffer because that's about what it's going to be. And then,
Right.
if you do have an issue, like we all know, I don't know, I feel like this has come up a lot of times. Like everybody knows it's not worth it to reach out to Uber and Lyft support for a buck or two, right? Or a small amount. Like let Sergio do it, figure it out, waste 2 hours of his
Yeah,
time and my time,
exactly.
and then right? Like there's a certain threshold or, figure out like, hey, if you can send a quick message and then get it, great. If not, on to the next thing, or next time you need to
Well,
go into the hub,
everybody,
right? That's
yes,
when you bring it up.
everybody lost yesterday. 2 hours later, banging my head into the black hole. Nothing happened. In those 2 hours, I could be doing trips. You know what I mean? Lyft
Well, now
lost,
that
I
but
lost.
everyone
Just
who's
give me
just
the
watched this
goddamn two
segment,
bucks, Lyft. That's
they
it.
know. But that's what I'm saying. Like I know it sucks, right, to be kind of shafted by the companies, but like
Bullshit.
also, again, you're a business owner. Sometimes you're going to have, crappy customers or crappy boss or whatever it might be, and you kind of know like, hey, I'm going to get screwed here and there. Even though I don't know, I don't even know that I really that this is being screwed because it's sort of like they still tell you the amount, the pickup, and the drop off. If they didn't give you the estimate of mileage and time, would you still take the trip? Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, when you get out there and drive, we do our contest, you're going to figure all this out because it's going to be all new to you. And you're going to go, F this. Well,
Yeah, I
forget
haven't driven in a while, but I mean, the principles are all the same about driving. That's sort of my
We're
point.
going to
I mean,
find
in my
out.
book, in my course, we always talk about the principles, right? Like the principles
Yeah.
of these things are never going to change, right? The tension between drivers, companies, and right. Like, I would actually be surprised if Uber and Lyft kind of, had at certain estimates and then they were overestimating, right? Because they care more about passengers, right? So they kind of want that
Yeah.
estimate to be as friendly to the passengers as possible. So, like, I guess I would say it's like that's kind of what I would expect.
Yeah. But we kind of agree on this kind of, but I just
I don't
want,
know.
I don't want to drive for free. I don't, it's not a charity. This is not, public
Yeah,
service. It's my private car. On those 5 miles, an extra 22 minutes, I burn gas. Okay. It's not my car don't run on, air. So I need to get paid. I don't want to drive for free, period.
yeah.
And
All
just
right.
like just like they cut my upfront fare, you slash it in some cases. If the trip goes shorter, do the same when it goes longer. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking. Fairness, transparency. That's it.
All right. Well, speaking of fairness, we've got one last bonus topic. So if you are a member, then you'll be able to hop over to your member tab on YouTube and you'll be able to see us discuss the Seattle minimum wage for delivery drivers and whether
Mm.
or not it's too high. So I think that's a good juicy topic to end on, and we appreciate everyone's support. If you're not a member, obviously you can catch
Be a
Sergio
member,
and
please.
Chris on the Show Me the Money Club every single Tuesday. Definitely, we left a few call to actions down below if you want to leave a comment, chime in, and hopefully this time I'll be able to get more than 7 people who kind of agreed with me and were on my
We have
side.
ideas. We have ideas on that. Look, man, we really do great work. I mean, and come in hanging out with us for an extra episode. Show me the money for an hour. Come on, man. Come on now.
No
Man.
brainer.